We welcome you to our first episode of Monster Magazine Weekly. And we are so glad you took the time to dig us up. So, let's get to the wooden stake point, shall we? We have a special treat for you, my dear fiends. On the night Monster Magazine was conceived, writer, reviewer, teacher, possible vampire David Walker decided to ask monster artist Ricky Blaylock, writer, blogger, and comic creator Dave Good, and artist-editor Vance Capley several questions. And here are the results.
It's a paycheck.
You remember what Lugosi said? It's work.
Yeah.
It's work.
All right, gentlemen, first question.
The capital of Nebraska is Lincoln. But I don't think that's your question, so go right ahead.
It's not Omaha?
No.
What's the capital of Florida?
Tallahassee.
Very good. Very good.
Capital of Kentucky.
Frankfurt.
Very good. Oh, wait a minute. You guys are from Tennessee. Of course you know the capital of Kentucky.
Bourbon.
But go ahead with
York.
your question, Dave. I'm sorry for being silly.
If there were a street fight between El Santo and the creature from the Black Lagoon, who would win?
Santo, because he's Santo.
I'm calling the creature.
I'm calling the creature.
Oh, man, Santo.
How would he defeat Santo?
He would drag him underwater and drown him.
Vance?
I think you just pound the crap out of him.
No, I like...
The creature or Santo?
Thank you. Santo would pound the
No,
hell out
man,
of
the creature is whack. It's over now. You know.
Santo uses his trademark pimp slap, and then he puts him in the cobra clutch and has the creature begging for mercy.
No, then he reverses and puts Santo in a Boston crab.
How can he reverse it?
Because
He doesn't
he's
know
the
how
creature.
to reverse it.
He's the
He's
creature.
brute force.
True.
Santo has skills.
This is true. Wasn't there like a drawing in one of the FPU magazines that had like Santo battling the creature?
I think it was actually Mr. Unknown himself,
okay.
the publisher of the
well,
magazine.
If you could go back in time and experience one moment of your childhood over again, a moment that determined one of your lifelong artistic obsessions, what moment would it be?
Moment from the childhood.
I think I know mine.
Okay, Ricky.
When my mom scared the crap out of me and you Dawn of the Dead.
We're in the theater.
And we were in the theater.
Why did you choose that moment?
Because it scared the crap out of us, and then after we thought about it, it was like, that was great.
How did that influence you?
And we were watching Dawn of the Dead. It made me love zombie movies.
So your mom's
And
scared.
plus scaring people. It got me to where I love scaring people.
Fair enough. Vance?
It was a Saturday afternoon, and I just got through watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and the Incredible Hulk cartoon, and I took some paper, folded it, and drew my very first Bearman comic book.
How old were you?
Ooh, we're looking at maybe 10 or 11 years old.
The beginning of a fruitful career.
Yeah, sort of.
Do you still have any of those?
Some of them were destroyed over time, but you get to be a teenager and you're like, oh, I need this crap, and throw them in the fire. And,
Dave?
I've got a lot of old stuff.
Well, unlike Rick and Vance, I'm not really an artist, but the thing that influenced me most, I'm going to say The Adventures of Superman, watching it as a child, and it got me into comic books. So,
You're talking about the George Reeves series? Or the
is there
Fleischer?
any other Superman? And you don't say a word.
I was thinking about the Fleischer cartoons.
Fleischer cartoons were the best.
Vance's favorite was Dean Cain.
No.
Brendan Ralph is his favorite.
Oh, gosh.
Who's the coolest person you ever met at a convention or in a public place?
Can we pick Ricky?
I've only got one good hand, so I can't clap. Sorry. I come down to Tennessee. I'm going to wrestle.
I bet
try and
you.
wrestle
I bet
with
you
Barrett.
$5 I can tell you who Vance's was.
Okay.
All right.
Neil Adams.
No,
No.
no. Sorry, you're close, but no.
Stan Lee.
Yeah, number one, Stanley. That's my man. Got
What-
to meet him.
What made him so cool?
Because he was
He's
Stan,
Stan
Lee.
Lee.
I got to hang out with him for like 20 minutes where I was in the line was like, hurry up! And Stanley took his time. He talked to me, looked at my artwork, and we talked about things. And I asked him a few questions. And he's not an art critic like he was telling me. I'm not an art critic. And I was like, I'm not worried about that. What do you think? And he was like, well, keep working on this stuff. It's good stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's just cool. And I got to hang out with Stan Lee for 20 minutes. That was great.
Ricky?
Oh man, it's hard for me to pick one.
Was it the night that Neil Adams said, bye, Vance? And you didn't, you're like, what? Hey.
George Romero?
Yeah, I would probably say George Romero, but yeah, we talked to him for a long time, and he was extremely nice.
That's one of your heroes, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
There's a novel coming out that he co-wrote. It was the next installment in his Dead series.
I wonder if anybody will pick it up and make a movie of it.
I
I
don't
know
know.
they will.
Is it Empire of the Dead?
I can't remember the name of it.
Because if it's Empire of the Dead, they've already released a 4-issue comic book of it.
And I saw it in Locust Magazine
Oh, did you?
that it's coming out. It may already be out.
Miniature golf course of the dead.
Dave?
Geez. Well, this is funny because watching wrestling years ago, I was a big fan of the Valiant brothers, and Jimmy Valiant, before he lost his mind and became the Boogie Woogie Man, I mean, he was cool. I met him at a signing, and he actually conned me into buying his autobiography, which set me back $40. But then after I bought it, it was worth it because it was Jimmy Valiant. Of course, he signed it for me. I mean, there are a lot of cool people that I have met, but I remember 17 years old watching WWW. That's when it was Worldwide Wrestling Federation. A friend of mine called me in the middle of the night. He said, "Dave, turn on your TV." I said, "Oh, what do we got? Is Bill Mascaris there?" And he said, "No, just turn on the TV." And Jimmy Valiant, Johnny Valiant, and Captain Lou Albano were giving an interview. And Johnny Valiant and Albano were carrying the interview, and Jimmy was just standing there, his head cocked, his arms folded across his chest, and he just deigned not to speak at this interview. And I just said, he should die right now because he is a god of cool, and he will never be as cool again in that moment. So just by meeting this guy,
Was he like that with
the
you?
coolest person I
Did he fold his arms and not talk to you?
No, like I said, he scammed me into buying his $40 autobiography. So he was talking. He
Do you
was
still
talking.
have it?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Is it worth anything?
Oh, I don't know. Is it worth the cash?
I don't know.
Surely it is. I mean,
It's worth something to Dave.
Yeah, it means a lot to me. It was a great book. I mean, there's stuff in there that I never knew.
it's
about.
like my prized possession is that hardback copy of Dawn of the Dead that George Romero signed.
There you go.
Okay, guys, what's your favorite single comic book cover of all time?
Does it have to be a cover?
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay. What was the question, man?
Yeah, I know, but come on, there are great pages that.
You can choose a page,
Yeah.
a panel, or a page.
I want to make sure I have the issue right. I believe it's Captain America 113. It's a Jim Steranko full-page splash. And I was telling Vance the other day, I've caught flack over this because I've mentioned that, and people have said to me, "Oh, I've seen better illustrations or better pages, better panels," and all I said was, this is my favorite. And being my favorite doesn't mean I'm saying it's the best, but it's my favorite.
Yeah, I chose that carefully.
Yeah.
Why is it your favorite?
It just captures what Captain America is about. He and Rick Jones, who at the time was wearing a Bucky Barnes costume, were fighting a regiment of Hydra assassins, and Cap just looks invincible. And it's not. The illustration does it, but it's also the caption talking about how do you defeat somebody who represents a system of living, a country. It isn't just Cap that they're fighting, it's America, and I just love that particular page. It's a full page splash in the comic book. Could have been a cover if you took the caption away, but yeah, it's just great.
You own that comic book, obviously.
Yes, I do.
Did you buy it when it was new?
I bought it right there off the
Do you still have the original copy you bought?
Yep. Steranko was like one of my favorite comic book artists, even though at a convention he totally blew me off because this really hot redhead with, we'll just say,
Well endowed.
yes, a well-endowed redhead was talking him up, and he blew me off. And in retrospect, I don't blame him. I suppose I would have too. I would have said, "Wow, look at her."
I met Steranko twice, and he's not lying. This man is in his 70s, Steranko is, and he'll just look at a lady and go, "Let's go." And it's never an old lady. It's never it's just a hot-looking girl, and just, let's go. And then take off.
Well, you do me like that all the time.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Vance,
Yes.
your favorite comic book cover of all time?
Fantastic Four 116.
Explain.
116, the Fantastic Four has on the cover Doctor Doom leading the Fantastic Four into battle with Reed not on the cover. And when I was a kid, I had a bunch of comic books, but I was little. I didn't want to read them. I just wanted to look at them, you know. But this one cover is just like, why is Doctor Doom leading the Fantastic Four? And that was the first one I read all the way through. And I've been through 3 copies of that book where I've worn them out, and I still have my 3rd or 4th copy in my comics at home.
John, did you see my artwork, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, or at least he did the story. I don't
Right.
remember if he. I remember that cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine a little kid picking that up going, what the crap?
Here's Reed.
Yeah.
Why is Doom leading? I think they did that on the cover. The caption was, "Why is Doom leading?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
All New Thrills is Doctor Doom leads the Fantastic Four. It's crazy.
Ricky?
Oh, man, I don't know if mine would be a comic book.
You can choose something else.
I mean,
Famous monsters?
the Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
And in the Bernie Wrightson, I don't know if it's from Creepy or Eerie, that story he did, Jennifer, that
Oh,
they made the
God.
movie of.
Yes. Was the movie called Jennifer too?
Uh-huh.
It was an
Because I want to
episode,
find this.
episode of Masters of Horror.
You've got it, don't
Yeah,
you?
Dario Argento directed it.
Wow.
I did not know Asia Argento was Anthony Bourdain's girlfriend.
Yeah, I saw that on the news this morning.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was she being interviewed?
Well, it was just a still of them together.
Or? Oh.
And then she mentioned him on her Twitter feed this morning.
What'd she say?
Talking about how bad that was and how bad he'll be missed.
Okay, guys, what's your favorite single movie poster of all time? Or just what's a favorite that pops into your mind?
You can't pick them from 42nd Street, boss.
No, that's not what. No,
Yes, you can, actually.
I was thinking. Really bad cereal from Columbia, The Adventures of Captain Africa, and the best thing about that cereal was, in fact, the poster by Glenn Kravitz of the character Captain Africa.
When that's supposed to be like a sequel to The Phantom, and
Right,
they
it
couldn't
was-
obtain the rights.
Right, they let the rights lapse, and so they gave him a costume that in long shots still didn't look like the Phantom's
No,
costume.
no.
And it's watching somebody actually put it on and wear it, it looks ridiculous, but that Kravitz poster was fantastic.
Ooh, I've kind of got two.
That's fine.
Y'all will laugh at one of them.
Man,
Jaws. I have always loved that poster.
That's a good
That's a
poster.
great
Why
poster.
would we laugh?
One for the Gauntlet.
Now, what was on the Gauntlet poster? I don't remember.
I have to look at it, but you know.
Was
who
that
did
a
poster.
Frazetta poster?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically Clint Eastwood's holding Sandra
Locke
Locke,
and
and it's like,
I'm pulling it up. So
Oh,
I see it,
okay.
Yeah. 'Cause I don't want to be left out here. Modern science.
This is very entertaining watching you guys on your phone.
I want to be part of the club.
I feel like I'm in my classroom.
oh boy.
Mischievous.
Ah! To the office with you.
Dang it.
I'm surprised Ricky did not say Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I always liked that poster, but I wouldn't say that.
It's not something that
It
just
is my
blows you
favorite.
away. It's a nice poster.
And it was playing at the same time as the
Oh wow, that right there is awesome. And if you're watching at home, it's floating across the screen right now.
You didn't have to do the Vince was on the floating across the screen.
High tech.
And the John Carpenter's The Thing is another good one. I
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
All right, Vance.
Oh, much like Rick, there's going to be two of them. One of them has to be The Mummy 1932, Boris Karloff. I love the tall poster where it has this beautiful painting of the mummy, and then it has the actress, and I can't remember her name right now. She's in that costume.
Zita Johann.
That's it. And it has all these wonderful colors to it. And that's my first favorite. And then my second favorite poster is probably going to be like probably Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla movie. I love that poster. Yeah.
What about 76's King Kong? On top of the World Trade Center.
Right, he's straddling.
Yeah.
I always liked that poster.
No.
And then you had different versions of it. Him with on top of the World Trade Center.
They're good.
Him
They're
with the
good.
subway car.
They're good,
and
but it's not.
There's
my
one with him
favorite.
with a snake.
He asked our favorites.
That leads to my next question. What's your favorite remake of all time? Ricky?
Yeah, Rick. What's your favorite remake?
I'm gonna say Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Vance, what's your least favorite remake of all time?
Peter Jackson's King Kong. They're ice skating in the park. Come on.
If you cut that out, I would be fine with that.
You'd
I
have to
did
cut
not like
out
that
a
song.
lot.
I didn't like it.
That-
But everything else was really good, I thought.
The effects were great in the film, but the ice skating in the park.
The ice skating in the park was
And
bad.
why would you remake King Kong? Why?
Well,
Why?
I'll let Rick answer since you asked him. But I was
Well,
gonna,
they had already remade it once. He was remaking the remake.
Dave, what's your favorite remake?
my favorite remake is 1960 Magnificent Seven, and I say that as a remake because it's a remake of The Seven Samurai, which was a samurai film, obviously, but they remade it as a western, as The Magnificent Seven, and you can't beat that cast playing the Seven. Especially my favorite of the Seven was James Coburn as Red. It's the most, I was about to say the most interesting character. He's the coolest character in the movie, but probably the most interesting character would have been the Robert Vaughn character as the gunfighter who had lost his nerve. He was, that
What
was an
about Yul
interesting
Brynner?
character. What about him? He's short and he's bald. No, yeah, Yul Brynner looks cool, all in black, but no. Coburn with the duel he has in the beginning of the film against Robert Wilkie, gun against knife. Oh, that's magic.
Trivia question. What James Bond movie sampled the theme from Magnificent Seven in one scene? 1979.
Well, then I wouldn't have seen it because I stopped watching Bond films for a time, and with Roger Moore as 007, so I probably missed it.
1979.
It also had
Moonraker, wouldn't it?
It was Moonraker, yeah. Yeah. It also had the Close Encounters melody at one point.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear James Bond music, watch some Turkish superhero movies. They use them constantly in it.
Also
They
in a lot of
have no
kung,
respect
kung
for
fu
trade.
movies from
Yes.
They have
China
no
and
respect
Hong Kong.
for trademarks.
All right, guys, who would you choose if you could have dinner with any late artist, writer, director, or actor? Or wrestler, or any celebrity type?
Did you say supper or lunch?
Don't
Your
even go
choice.
there.
Your
well, no,
choice.
I mean, you know,
Dinner
time.
or supper.
I'm sorry.
Platonic meal.
Oh, dang. So Betty Page is out then.
Not necessarily.
Well, no,
Talk
because
shop.
if you meet Betty Page, it's
Yeah,
not
well-
going to be to want to be platonic.
Platonic.
Unless you're into necrophilia.
Well, you said.
Oh, yeah, that's
you
right.
said they
That's
were
right.
good, but still would.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not putting this on YouTube.
I'll censor it as much as I possibly can in the bullet.
I still kick myself for not getting Sam Jones to get me.
Man,
take
that
his
would have been.
picture doing
I
that.
would have died laughing so hard if you'd done that.
Why are you looking at me? You guys can answer.
Oh, well, if it was up to me, it's either going to
I
be.
bet I know who'd be
Go for it.
Bela Lugosi.
Yep. What's the other one? There's another one I would choose. And you can't pick Betty Page because it has to be a nice dinner.
Probably Ed Wood.
You know me well, brother.
Wow.
You know me well.
Wow.
Have dinner with both of them. That'd be awesome.
And they're buddies, so that'd be good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so much fun.
Ricky,
I would say George Romero.
Oh, that'd be cool.
what would you talk to him about?
Zombie movies.
We've been sitting here
Over
for 3
and
hours
over and
doing
over.
nothing, talked about nothing but zombie pictures.
I love them. I just can't get enough of them.
Oh, yeah.
The only video games that I've ever played and were ever any good at, Resident Evil.
What about Centipede? You were good at Centipede, weren't you?
I was pretty good at Centipede. I'm talking about newer.
Oh,
newer
oh,
stuff.
sorry.
I mean, I was pretty good at Centipede and Ms. Pac-Man.
Sure.
I got good at Ms. Pac-Man at Stan's.
Oh, man.
Ricky's the only person I know who has pleasant fantasies about the zombie apocalypse.
He does. Little heart dreams.
That's the only kind of monster that I have ever had nightmares about.
Nightmares, yeah.
Is zombies.
Dad had some nightmares about zombies. His dreams are always they're grabbing his feet, trying to pull his feet off.
Well, I've dreamed that before, well, way before I met you, I dreamed that me and David was trapped over here during the zombie apocalypse upstairs.
Oh, wow.
And we were shooting them out the window out front.
That's cool.
And Buster was keeping them from getting up the stairs.
That was my dog, Buster.
Wow. That's a good dream.
Yeah.
So
And then I dreamed that me and Jenny's brother was trapped at our house.
Oh,
And Abby and them were at Ann's house.
Well,
And me and him was trapped upstairs at our house.
wow. So you like zombies? Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little
Dave?
I guess as far as an actor would go, I really can't think of an actor who would like to sit down with, but probably my boyhood hero, Buster Crabbe.
bit. Oh, yeah.
I mean, at one time he brought to life more comic book and comic strip heroes than anybody else. I mean, you talk about perfect casting for a comic strip or comic book hero, Buster Crabbe, Flash Gordon.
You ever read an interview with him?
Oh yeah, I've read plenty of interviews with him. And,
I've got to talk to Flash.
Yeah, Sam Jones.
And I thank him for saving every one of us.
He's the savior of the universe.
Fly.
and just as George Reeves is the only Superman, Buster Crabbe is the only Flash Gordon. I dare you to debate that
He's
one.
dead.
Yeah, well, guess what? He was
He did.
Flash Gordon.
And Sam Jones was up there as far as one of the nicest ones I've ever met.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you had a good time with him.
Okay, fellas. What's your favorite Saturday morning cartoon of all time?
Match. I got this.
All right, Vince.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, 81 to 1984.
Why is that your favorite?
It was like Marvel team up of superheroes. So you had all the different superheroes in the Marvel universe popping up on the cartoon, and the stories were loosely based on the comics because the networks always
Very
dumbed it. They had to dumb it down for censors and all this stuff. But it was just the imagination was just so cool on there, and it had some great ideas and different takes on what the actual comic books were. And I was just like, this, yeah, that's I still watch those. Yep.
I think mine would be Looney Tunes, maybe Scooby Doo.
Yeah, I watch those.
But
too.
now the live action
Yeah.
stuff would be Land of the Lost.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Slee Stack. I could have done without the Slee Stack though. I like
And that movie with Will
that
Ferrell
was crap, wasn't it?
was horrible.
What's the name of the yellow Slee Stack that was the one that was helping the family? I can never remember his name.
I can't either.
I think it was like Morgan, and they said, "Come on out, Morgan." You know?
Where Will and all them were surrounded the little sphere and they were beating on it.
Yeah.
Morgan, come on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Space Ghost.
Coast to coast.
Nope. Long before he was a talk show host.
Are you talking about your favorite season, 1981 Space Ghost?
No, I'm talking about the original from back in the
60s,
60s. That show was just cool. And the only reason he's going ahead of Johnny Quest was because I was around when Johnny Quest premiered as a primetime show, so I can't really say.
Yeah, not a Saturday morning at the time.
Eventually,
I missed the Johnny Quest cartoons
Yeah.
and
The-
Haji.
Walmart has them on the DVD.
Oh man, I forgot to tell y'all. A
Been pounding
lady
the
I
butt.
work with gave me DVDs of the entire series of HR Puffin stuff.
Oh,
HR
dude,
Puffin
cool.
who's your friend when things get rough?
We need to get lit once.
HR and Puffin stuff.
All right. What's the Saturday morning cartoon that you disliked so much you always turned the channel when it came on?
The Smurfs.
Why? Yeah, why?
I hated the Smurfs.
Jeez.
See, I can't say that because I'm not as young as these two guys. So every cartoon that I had was just cool. We didn't have lame stuff like the Smurfs when I was a kid.
What was that cartoon? Tiddlywink? Time Out for Tiddly? Or what was that?
Are you talking about Winky Dink?
Yeah.
Was
Was
it
that a
Winky
cool
Dink?
cartoon?
Uh,
Was that one of your favorites, Dave?
Winky Dink. I like the theme song.
It was.
Winky Dink.
What about the Schoolhouse Rock ones?
Yeah.
Nope.
And then what about Time for Timer? Remember him?
No, I didn't like Time for Time.
You didn't like the one where he hankered for a hunk of cheese?
That's the reason I don't like it. Yeah, I didn't care for that at all. Did you watch Mighty Mouse?
Of course.
Yeah. We had
I always
Mighty Mouse
thought he
in the
was a
80s.
show off though.
Well, he's Mighty Mouse. He
What
does-
about
he-
Hong
he-
Kong Phooey?
Yeah, we watched that.
No, we watched that one.
Josie and the Pussycats?
I didn't care for that.
I watched it when I was a teenager for the wrong reasons.
Oh my God, you're a sick guy.
No.
Yep.
Do you find Bugs Bunny sexually attractive?
No.
Only when you got into drag.
When he dressed up like an old lady.
What sort of breakfast cereal did you eat on Saturday mornings?
Oh man.
Didn't everybody eat like Cheerios?
No, there's
No.
like 8 million flavors, balls.
No. Well,
We got plain old
once again, the
cornflakes.
generation difference.
Or either that or we just got oatmeal or grits.
You ready?
Every now and then we felt rich, we'd get like a box of Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
And we'd eat it all in one sitting.
The thing my mom would always get, because it was always on sale, was King Vitamin.
King Vitamin, that was Buddy Captain Crunch.
It was all in our teeth constantly.
Was that made by Malto Meal?
I think so. Yeah. And it had some goofy looking old dude on it on the box, kind of a creeper looking dude. And this cereal tasted like cardboard and covered in like sugar. And it
Well,
was,
that's the funny thing when Tricks
yeah.
first came out, and you're a kid, you're watching the silly rabbit tricks are for kids, and how the kids were always trying. I actually conned my mom into buying a box of it, and I ate one bowl, and that was it. And I was like, Rabbit, you want the damn tricks? You can keep the damn tricks.
Well, I remember we thought, me and Freddie, you may remember this, we saw this, Yule Gibbons eating the grape nuts, and we thought those might be pretty good.
Oh,
so
no.
Mama bought a box of grape
Oh,
nuts
no.
for us, and that was the nastiest crap that I ever put
Let's
in my
buy a
mouth.
box of gravel.
Yeah,
Yule Gibbons was great. He ate twigs and berries and all kinds
green
of things.
onions that you pull up out of the yard,
Yeah.
And then died young.
Probably from eating gravel and nuts.
and raw onions and dogs.
It
would
wasn't
eat
the
on.
raw onions, it was the grape nuts that killed him.
Probably.
Clogged him up.
What did you guys watch when you were getting ready to go to school in the mornings?
The Ralph Emery Show.
Yeah, Ralph Emery. And then when we got our little loop antenna, we'd watch Spider-Man before school.
Oh, we had to watch Ralph Emery.
Yeah, we watched
Above
Ralph Emery.
anything.
But once we
Yeah.
got that little loop antenna, Spider-Man.
Ralph Emery, for those of you who aren't from Middle Tennessee, was a every morning, early morning
Talk show, variety show,
country music,
comedy show.
And
the
fun
weather,
thing was,
the
chalk
news.
off.
he was a DJ overnight at WSM, and then would come in that morning and do the Ralph Emery Show live with no sleep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys didn't watch like cartoons or Three Stooges or
Well, that was Sunday.
That was
morning.
Sunday morning.
We watched Three Stooges
You watched the
before
Little
church.
Rascals at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:30,
Three
the Three
Stooges.
Stooges came on.
And the parents daddy and mom would always be like, "Sit down." Well, I don't understand why y'all are jumping around like idiots for. We just watched Three Stooges.
And they were jumping around like
Exactly.
I think I remember watching Bullwinkle and the rest of the Bullwinkle family on weekday mornings.
Yeah, we did.
We
that.
did that
I
after the
watched
Ralph Emery Show.
Jackal Lane show. I was doing exercises with Jackal
Oh,
Lane.
that's cool. So he was up doing exercises.
Precious.
If you had to watch a video of either your own birth or your own conception, which would you choose?
God, both are pretty damn gross.
Yeah, that's pretty, yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, I'm not going there. They can answer that.
You
one.
gotta pick one, is what man says.
No, you
gotta
don't.
pick
This is America.
one.
Man, I don't have to say anything.
I'd probably have to say birth. It
Yeah,
would only be half as bad as.
yeah. I'm gonna go with birth too. Yeah, 'cause
Don't you think a lot of kids today have access to at least one of those videos?
Could be.
Yeah.
It could
Possibly.
birth probably?
Yeah.
But I don't think
Well,
they
you
let
could
you
probably-
film the action,
Nowadays,
you know.
with
Because
videotapes.
I was in there when
Mom and
But
Dad probably.
Sometimes
did.
you like a lot of people do C-sections. You don't want to show your kids that because they're gonna traumatize them.
well, you know, and I was in there when Abby was born, but I wasn't down where I could see nothing.
Well, when Stephen was born, I wasn't down there, anywhere. But she, C-section and whatnot. But when Lily was born, I saw the C-section process. And
No, I would pass on that. All I know is they tried to hand me Abby, and I was like, clean it?
pitiful, pitiful.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator alone with either a drunk man throwing up or a woman giving birth, which would you choose?
Woman giving birth.
A woman giving birth,
That's a
yeah.
beautiful thing.
Okay. If you had to be stuck in an elevator alone with either an evangelist giving a sermon or O.J. Simpson carrying a machete, which would you choose?
The
Yeah.
evangelist.
The evangelist.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had to spend an entire weekend watching either episodes of Hee Haw, episodes of the Lawrence Welk Show, or all of the Friday the 13th movies in order on a loop, which would you choose?
Friday the 13th.
This is tough.
I wasn't a big fan of the champagne music of Lawrence Welk.
You guys know it. You know what I will say. I'm gonna go
Vance
Lawrence
is going to
Welk.
go with.
It's taking you too long for something that.
I couldn't decide between Hee Haw or Lawrence Welk.
You had Hee Haw Honeys though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Lawrence Welk music was more relaxing and nicer.
And we had the Lennon sisters. They were
Yeah.
hot.
They were good. Yeah.
Well,
And-
a lot of the girls on Lawrence Welk were kind of hot in that beauty queen sort of way, where you have 20-year-old women, girls looking like 40-year-old women with
Oh,
their
yeah.
hairstyle and makeup.
oh yeah. Yeah, definitely Lawrence Welk.
Dave?
Yeah, as strange as it's going to sound, Lawrence Welk. I mean, I grew up with that. Was Sunday night and with my
Well, I mean,
family.
if you took Hee Haw out of, I mean, not Hee Haw, Friday the 13th out of the mix, I'd probably have to go with Hee Haw.
yeah,
I could, yeah.
you had the Hee
See,
Haw.
that's why I was
You know, if it
having a
was
hard
between
time
Hee Haw
deciding.
and Lawrence Welk, I would have to take Hee Haw.
Yeah, that's why.
Hee
'cause I
Haw was
love
like a
both
country
shows.
burlesque show. So yeah,
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
right. You had the blackout skits like in burlesque, and you had those girls. But there's just something about Lawrence. Good night, sweet time, pleasant dreams.
Oh man, I remember Mama should have watched that. Oh.
Well, that's what it
As
did.
soon as we see that dang screen pop on with all them bubbles, we'd go like, oh my god.
You know, our local PBS still runs them on Saturday night, and if I can get to the TV before Patsy does, I'm watching it.
Wonder if in the Alice Cooper stage show, his bubble machine, wonder if that has to do with making a play on Lawrence Welk.
It might be.
Well,
It might
I
be.
would think it came from Robot Monster, since we're talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
probably a fan of that.
He did
If I ever
record.
do get to meet him, that's a question
Ask
I'm
him,
going to
please.
ask.
He did
Ask
record I'm Always Chasing Rainbows
Yeah.
on Alice Cooper Goes to Hell.
Yep.
What is your favorite childhood Christmas special that you look forward to every Christmas?
Oh, every Christmas.
And I'm going to remove the Grinch because everybody loves that. So that's out of the mix.
You know, you're just leading to an epic battle in here. You know it's coming down to
And
this.
you just said Christmas special.
Oh yeah, it's
I'm
coming
not
around
talking
the corner.
movies.
You know, you know.
Movies are not in this question.
Oh.
They may come up
Movies
later.
aren't in the question. These
Okay.
are,
Special.
I'm going to have to say it'll be a toss-up between Rudolph and Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But aren't they considered movies?
No, they were
special-
like 30-minute
kid
specials.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna go with Charlie Brown.
I'm going to remove Charlie Brown.
Dang it, Frosty.
Rudolph.
Well, since you took movies out of the mix, I'm going to say Rudolph too. But my choice would have been, I don't know what you guys do down here, but up in New York, the Christmas season kicks off on Thanksgiving with March of the Wooden Soldiers with Laurel and
Lauren
Hardy.
Hardy.
Remember, they used to show that. at
Since they only
Christmas Day.
show that once a
I have
year
not
at
seen
that
that
time,
in
maybe you
years.
could consider it a Christmas special.
Isn't there a scene
Oh, yeah.
in that where they it kind of insinuates that the three little pigs got killed and they got turned into sausages?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
one of them, they frame Tom Tom the Piper's son for the murder of one of the three little pigs.
Mama said that me and Freddie used to cry when one of the pigs got murdered.
I just like that film because it has an incredible pace at the ending when Barnaby and the Boogeymen invade Toyland and they're overrunning it. I mean, the characters from Mother Goose are holding off as best they can. And Barnaby finally ends up with Little Bo Peep and he's taking her back to Boogie Land. It reaches that peak when Laurel and Hardy finally activate the 100 wooden soldiers to take them out.
Did you watch it in a colorized version?
I've watched it for years in black and white and I despise the colorized version.
Is there a colorized film that you think actually is an improvement? Or at least bearable?
A colorized film, no.
Now, I've seen Night of the Living Dead colorized, and it's awful.
Yeah,
It
most
does-
most polarized films are bad.
The-
I wonder if they could do it any better now, because the ones that I saw were like really old.
Yeah.
I wonder if
When
they
they
can
first-
could do it better now.
Right. Well, recently there's been like some lost episodes of Doctor Who that were broadcast in color in the early '70s that were lost. All they had was black and white kinescope prints or whatever, and they digitally went back and tried to get it to look as it did on the videotape back from the early '70s, and they've done a really good job. The modern coloring actually. It looked like one of the videotapes. They did well with that, but I haven't seen something that was made in black and white transferred to color that looked
That
good.
looked good.
Yeah.
I've seen one thing.
What was that?
Back in the 90s, the Cartoon Network used to show the early Warner Brothers cartoons that were in black and white.
Yeah.
And kind of a very classy, sort of amber tinted colorization.
Oh,
And I thought some of those were quite good,
cool.
quite well done. I'm sure that
Probably easier to do a cartoon than it would be a movie.
Yeah. I'm
I
gonna
would think
assume
so.
that too.
Yeah.
what is your favorite Christmas movie? What's the best version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol?
Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, as far as I'm concerned.
Why is that, Dave?
It scared the hell out of me. I mean, the Ghost of Christmas Future, and it's a cartoon, but when Mr. Magoo asks him, Spirit, what do you see for me? And he just points that bony finger towards the headstone in the cemetery, and it's Scrooge. That scares me. He's scary. I could only think of like two kids' movies that really scared me. That and Margaret Hamilton scares the heck out of me to this day is The Wicked Witch of the West and The Wizard of Oz.
I would say the entire opening of Wizard of Oz is pretty scary with the tornado. And I used to have nightmares about the monkeys, flying monkeys.
Flying monkeys.
Yeah, they were creepy looking.
Yeah.
Trivia question, what was the name of Margaret Hamilton's black and white character?
Miss
Elmira
Gulch.
Gulch.
Miss Gulch, Elmira Gulch. Very good, very good. All right, what's your favorite version of Christmas Carol? Ricky, you raising your hand?
I know what he's gonna say.
George C. Scott in A Christmas Carol. That is
No.
the that is
No.
the
I was going to assume you were going to say The Muppet Christmas Carol, but okay, I'll.
That was good.
just watch
Patton.
and see what happens.
Patton is not Scrooge.
Patton is Scrooge.
Ricky, you don't like that version?
No.
Tell us, what is your
Alistair Sim is Scrooge.
Alistair
Okay, yeah,
Sim?
that is considered the best, but
So, this buffoon jumping around like a monkey is Scrooge. No. A classy actor like George C. Scott handles the job much better on Christmas when you watch Christmas Carol.
Just like Family Feud.
once again, Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo.
Well, I'll put in a plug for Albert Finney.
Albert Finney. When Christmas we were in here and he asked us this, and how long did we argue about it?
Oh, like hours.
David just goes, Albert Finney, we're done.
What is your favorite spooky or Halloween episode of a ordinary mainstream TV series or sitcom?
I got mine.
Mm.
All right, Dave.
You guys want to go first?
If you're ready, go ahead, Dave.
Star Trek Cat's Paw.
Written by Robert Bloch.
Yep.
Why do you like that?
Scares the heck out of me, and Antoinette Bowers is incredibly hot in it. Until we see her real form at the end of the episode, then I'm pretty like, yeah, I was thinking about sleeping with her. Nah.
That was the only Halloween episode I think
Yeah.
Star Trek ever did. The original, anyway.
Gosh, there's been a whole bunch of them. It's hard to say. I know what one of the funniest ones is.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that TV show According to Jim?
Yeah.
Did y'all see the episode where him and his wife's little fat brother-in-law went dressed up like Kiss?
Yes, that was funny. That was funny.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, it's hilarious. The little fat Jim was dressed up like Gene Simmons, and the little fat guy was dressed up like Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
He looked like a weeble Paul Stanley.
Yes, that was funny.
Vance, have you got one?
I always liked whenever the Night Court would have a Halloween episode. They were always kind of cool, you know. And that especially the episode where there was a witch, and he was trying, and she turns out to be an actual witch, and they're going to run away together, and she's like, you can't do that. It was really good.
Well, I'm a big fan of the Dick Van Dyke Show episode. That's sort of based on Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That was a
Good
special Halloween episode?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It just anything spooky.
Okay.
Spooky.
Yeah, that was good.
A walnut, something about walnuts.
Walnuts.
Yeah.
And you had an eye in the back
Yeah.
of your head, and all the aliens looked like Danny Thomas.
Yes. Yes. I thought it was a really good sort of picking up of the zeitgeist of the time, with the body snatcher
As you
idea.
said, yeah, it was Invasion.
And I think they called the planet they were from Twilo. And I figured that was a reference to the Twilight Zone at
Oh,
the time.
cool.
Yeah. But it was genuinely spooky
Yeah.
at times.
When Rob came into a room full of walnuts.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
There were several good spooky Dick Van Dyke Show episodes.
Yeah, he's real big into Halloween.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, that TV show Making Monsters
Mm-hmm.
from out in Colorado, they built a big prop for his house.
Really?
Yeah, and went out and installed it with him. And like the last 10 minutes or so was him using the prop, scaring all the kids in the neighborhood.
That's great.
And the Andy Griffith Show had some spooky episodes.
Yes.
Of course, the famous haunted house one, but
Yeah.
which the Ghost of Mr. Chicken sort of takes off from, I think.
What about that episode of when him and Barney's trying to break that curse the Darlings put on them?
Yes, and they used some old mountain folklore.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Count Taleki episodes. There's 2 of those.
And who was Count Talecki?
He had the Barney and Goober, I think, got this little lamp, and you would light it, and you would make wishes and talk to it, and all these things would happen. And there were 2 episodes with that thing on it. It's very cool.
I thought that the first one was my favorite of all
Yeah.
the.
The first one's way better, but it's cool.
Then the later one I think was about a chain letter, but it had a lot of the same music.
Well, they brought in the Count
and they
Taleki
mentioned
thing.
that. Yes, they kept referring to that. Yes. What do you think is the best designed monster or creature in any horror film, other than the creature from the Black Lagoon, Alien, and Predator?
The Metaluna mutant from This Island Earth.
That's a good choice. Explain why you like that.
It looks just like you would expect a pulp monster, science fiction monster to look like. And that's it. I always regret that Wally Wood never did a comic book adaptation of that movie.
I was shocked and offended when MST3K did a
Feature-length movie.
feature-length movie and they
That
chose
sh-
This Island Earth.
That was
which
a poor
It's
choice.
a good movie.
Yeah, exactly.
They did that several times actually with good movies.
Yeah.
Vance is going to say robot monster.
Nope. Good.
But
Good answer.
yeah, it's a good.
I'm rather fond of the Robot Monster.
I am too.
Now that's the
It's
gorilla
iconic.
with looks like a TV on its head.
It looks like
Or
a
the
diving
diving bell helmet or
Yeah.
whatever.
But he has a TV, doesn't he, that blows bubbles?
Well, he communicates with his commander on the moon through the television. Yeah.
Vance?
Godzilla.
Okay, why? Why is that?
He looks so cool. Freaking cool.
You're talking about the most recent Godzilla, right?
I hate
No.
Godzilla design. I'm a nerd on Godzilla. So.
What's the worst Godzilla design?
The one where they decided to make the mask pointed, and it was for a movie where Godzilla had a son. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It wasn't Son of Godzilla.
Godzuki.
No, I think it. Wait a minute.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. It may have been Son of Godzilla. I'm not 100% sure. But his head, they designed the head pointed because they thought it would match Minya's head, and it didn't. It should left it alone. It didn't match. That's the only one I didn't like, costume-wise. I mean.
Ricky?
I'm thinking.
I'll go ahead and say mine while you're thinking. Although many people think it was a huge mistake for this to even be in the movie, I really like the design of the Curse of the Demon, or Night of the Demon Creature.
Oh yeah, that thing
The
was
Jacques
awesome.
Tourneur movie. Yeah, in a lot of ways the movie would have been better and more Luton-esque if they hadn't shown it.
Right.
But considering that they did show it, thought it was well designed, and also thought it was shot very well.
Yes.
Mm.
Clock's ticking, Rick.
What do you think of the design of the monster of Piedras Blancas?
What?
The monster of Piedras.
Think of Creature from Black Lagoon with Bert's nose on it and claws.
And no budget.
And no budget.
That was actually made by some of the Universal people who had left Universal.
Oh wow! What about Pumpkinhead? You like Pumpkinhead's?
You know, that was one of the. I was thinking about that because that is a pretty cool thing.
What about the Fly?
The original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the Cronenberg.
Not talking about the Cronenberg.
See, I'm not a fan of 80s special effects.
You didn't like the special effects in The Thing?
Some of them. Not all of them.
Well, in that it follows the story more closer than the original movie.
I was going to say, too, some of maybe Ray Harryhausen stuff
Oh, God.
from
yeah.
the Sinbad movies.
Oh, yes, yes.
Any of those are good.
The Cyclops from Sinbad.
That's what I was thinking, the Cyclops,
Magical.
the skeletons in Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, that's a great sequence.
Yeah,
Halos.
Pumpkinhead. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing from Jeepers Creepers isn't that bad.
No. And Jeepers Creepers 3, which we watched recently, was
Not bad at
pretty
all.
darn good.
It was better than the second one, I thought.
Yeah. Maybe even better than the first one, if you ask me. What do you think is Lon Chaney's greatest makeup design? The original Lon Chaney, of course.
The Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
Excluding the Phantom of the Opera.
Quasimodo.
Excluding Quasimodo.
The tough Marine sergeant he played in Tell It to the Marines. No makeup at all. No,
The Man in the Beaver Hat.
Of course,
Yeah.
of
which
course.
was what?
London After Midnight.
Oh,
The Man in the
yeah.
Beaver Hat. Still says that he has seen that clip, and he will still argue with people to this day.
You think he saw that Monster Kid movies?
No, he was at the MGM studios,
Oh,
and they were running a film on a projector while he was cleaning, and he saw it. And they had he said it was like several people in suits watching it.
I believe it was Forrest J. Ackerman who said that it was interesting to see him in motion,
Yeah.
because he walked kind of like Groucho Marx, and he was, kind of hunched over, or one of the Marx brothers, and he was constantly twirling his eyes. Now I would love to see that.
Oh yeah. I'd give my little pinky toe to see that.
Yeah, I would too. I'd cut it off right now.
Oh yeah.
Even though Forrest and others who saw it said it really wasn't that good.
Doesn't matter. Want to see it. Still.
So when did it just vanish?
Fire.
The last known copy burnt in 1967 in a fire. Remember what I just said? Last known copy. There were copies distributed all over the world, and somewhere.
There's bound to be some
Yeah.
copies.
And if that guy's story is true, that means somewhere at MGM in the 80s, there was a copy that existed. And to this day, he swears up and down that that's what he saw there. And,
Well, Metropolis was found.
oh,
A
Metropolis.
complete Metropolis. Where was it? It was South American country?
Yeah.
In a vault. And that missing reel from the Spanish Dracula from 1931 was found in
Yeah.
Cuba, I believe.
Yep, you're all right.
I mean, it could happen.
Yeah, I just hope it does sometime in my lifetime, so I can, get together with my cronies and make popcorn and watch the original London After Midnight.
What is your favorite silent horror film? Nosferatu?
Thinking.
Batiste in Hell.
Who directed that?
I couldn't tell you.
Was it Italian?
Yeah.
I want to say Phantom of the Opera, but it sounds like I'm just picking one randomly, but I'm not. That's my favorite. I
It's a
think.
great movie.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
It has slow spots, I'm not gonna lie, but it's good.
I like the John Barrymore Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
And of course Caligari.
The Jekyll and Hyde, the first time I saw that, I had Lillian in my lap and Stephen beside me. It was on one of those public domain collections, and they were both half asleep, thank goodness. The part, the part, wham, 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 wham. He just keeps beating that dude to death. Looked so real. It was great.
Isn't there a dream sequence involving a giant spider at one point?
Yes.
I remember that was creepy.
Yes.
Well, what do you think is the best makeup for Mr. Hyde in any movie version?
Fred March version, I think.
Frederick Mark.
Yeah.
I also sort of like Jack Palance because we took somebody who wasn't particularly good looking to begin with. I mean,
Right,
Jack
right.
Palance could have been Mr. Hyde without makeup, and they made him look like a satyr.
Believe it or not.
And he played Dracula not long after.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad liked that version of Dracula. CBS reran it one summer, and I videotaped it, and me and Betsy were out. And then the next day we all sat and watched it, and Dad was like, I like that, that's pretty
It
good.
had its moments.
Yeah.
It brought in the love interest thing, kind of stealing from the Mummy, the
Right.
reincarnation.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Francis Ford Coppola ran with that in 1992.
But
Yeah.
the thing about Coppola is Dracula, we finally get to see more or less the book. And when I say that, I mean the way Dracula's dispatched. Jim Bowie would have been proud. The
Yeah.
Texan kills him with a Bowie knife. So
As
I
we
need
say,
to know.
boy knife.
Yeah.
Bowie knife.
Oh, well, it depends on what part of the country
Of
you're
course.
from. If you're from where you guys are, it's a Bowie knife.
Yes.
But if you're from the Southwest, it's a Bowie knife.
Yeah, I enjoyed the ending sequence in the snow and going. I just didn't like the love interest, reincarnation type angle.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm a big fan of that movie. And I love the opening sequences at the castle and when Dracula looked so hideous with that hairdo.
Did you see that one, Rick?
Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
You saw it, didn't
I
you?
saw some of it. I hadn't seen it all.
Also, I wish they hadn't included all the Vlad the Impaler stuff at the beginning,
Yeah,
Right.
that
because
was
that's
terrible.
pretty much been debunked.
Right.
That was a big deal in the 70s. This book came out, In Search of Dracula, where I think his name was Raymond McNally,
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
and now everybody thinks Vlad Tepes was the inspiration, and I don't think he was.
There's a lot of influences. There was a A&E special about Dracula, and they were talking about the many different influences that Bram Stoker brought in to write the story.
Some of it came from John Polidori's The Vampire, which
Yeah.
was one of the
Stories that were being written that fateful night.
When Frankenstein was written.
on Lake Geneva, that stormy weekend. And also Varney the Vampire. There were vampire legends.
Carmilla.
Carmilla was predated Dracula, that's
Right.
right. That's a great little novella.
This has been a very special round table, just a lot of fun and dudes hanging out. We appreciate David Walker for being our host tonight, asking the craziest questions you've ever heard. Dave, Vance, Rick, from all of us, we wish you a good night.
Good night.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
recently lost interest in your favorite comic heroes? Do the current stories make you feel bored, restless, even lethargic? Are you reading back issues out of the 50-cent bin more often than not? Friends, you are not alone. There are thousands just like you, and the cure is Devil Bat. Devil Bat is a 48-page adventure comic by Vance Capley, released by Visual Comics and available through Lulu.com. Side effects include lack of sleep, increased adrenaline, antsiness for the next story, and really wanting to buy more Devil Bat merchandise. Ask your comic shop if Devil Bat is available for you, or get your copy at Lulu.com. Isn't it time for good comics again? Let Devil Bat start you on that journey today. Devil Bat issue 2, May 31st from Visual Comics, available at Lulu.com.